These final four are about to finish off one of the greatest events ever. All four took a very different path to this point, and we're going to highlight each of them. Yes, even the Hornets. They all had quite the story to get here, some a lot closer than others. Let's check out the 2020 Triathlon. The highlighted teams in the standings are where our main characters stood at the beginning of this event. The Hornets were not having any fun this year, which was pretty expected as the team had an awful Marbula 1 and barely qualified. Their first two events, they were able to score 13 points, and I'm making it sound like an achievement because their next three events were awful. A 12th in the funnel race, 15th in the Newton's Cradle, and dead last in long jump. 5 points in 3 events. Certainly not ideal. The Hornets were last after this stretch, and after barely placing top half in 2 straight events, the Hornets find themselves here. The Hazers were also a sad story, and definitely a team in need of some points. Their year was just mediocre. They actually had as many top half finishes as the Hornets. Yeah, the start was that bad. And this is coming off back-to-back podiums in major events. And to make matters worse, block pushing happened, and the Hazers placed dead last. So they came into this event at the lowest of their lows, probably what inspired that push we'll see later on. But now back to the standings, specifically to Team Momo. This team had a very similar start to the Hazers, very mediocre results. But unlike the Hazers, this team came in with a great result, a silver medal, which besides their Team Momori run, was their first medal since 2017. They moved up 3 spots from that event and probably had the second most momentum coming out of these top 4. But who had the most? Well, that would be our leaders in the standings. The Rangers were very good at the start and were still very good at this point. They had one of the best 3 event runs ever, with 2 gold medals and a bronze. Their 105 points was the most ever after 7 events at the time. Their run was historic, and they weren't looking to slow down at the triathlon. So, now we know where our teams stand. Let's get into the event. We're going to go heat by heat, because each marble you see here actually won their heats. The first one of the day featured the Hornets. Stinger was looking to build some momentum as the Hornets were in a pretty bad spot, as we talked about earlier. In this heat, the Hornets kept creeping up on Pulsar, who was probably the best triathlon marble that didn't make the final. Eventually, a great effort in the water helped Stinger send his team to the semis, and a guaranteed top half finish.
They're approaching the finish line. Have the Hornets taken the lead? Yes, they have, and they will cross first.
As you see, being good in the water is probably the most important strength to have. We'll definitely be seeing more examples of that later on. But now, let's take a look at Momo. They were very dominant in this race. They pretty much won this race in the sand. Being in that center spot is certainly the ideal position for this event, and Momo took full advantage of that opportunity by having a perfect sand section. Once they entered the water, there was no doubt that they'd take the heat.
Second place, Momo is going to win, but who will get second? Mellow Yellow is not going to catch up, so it's going to be the Savage Speeders.
Next up are the Rangers. Origin was put into this event because of their hard work during Marbula 1, and it certainly paid off. After a very lucky bounce right here, Origin excelled in the track section, especially this move right here to create lots of distance between themselves and second. The water section was different though. Unlike the other competitors from the final, the Rangers actually struggled in the water, as Shock nearly passed Origin despite a sizable gap right before the terrain change. This would be some major foreshadowing early on. The final heat of the day features Foggy, an absolute master of the water section. This entrance into the water might be the best one of the day, and their speed just kept increasing. So now the semifinals are upon us. Stinger and Orangin would be in the same heat. Orangin had a pretty easy time, but Stinger was locked in step with Rapidly for most of the race. The entrance into the water made all the difference. It's a little hard to see, but it looks like Stinger made some contact with Rapidly right here, which caused the speeder to almost completely stop, while Stinger was already rolling. Orangin showed once again their weakness in the water. Stinger nearly passed the Oranger right at the end here.
Orangers still holding the lead. It's the Hornets. Both will advance to the final.
Now for semifinal number 2. We're going to focus less on the Hazers here, as they had a really easy race and were never in any pressure. Momo, on the other hand, fought hard for that final spot. This was the gap between Pulsar and Momo entering the water. Compare that to Stinger and Orangin, which was definitely smaller, and Stinger still couldn't pass Orangin. So it seemed like Pulsar was safe, but Momo didn't care. They turned on the gas during this part right here. And boy, is it a sight to see. Even Greg didn't see it at first, but after a close photo finish, Momo just got the edge.
Center of the track. Are they going to make the move? They do, but it's too late. I think it's too late for Momo. Look at just at the last second they pulled out to try to get around. And we'll wait for the photo finish here. Super slow-mo necessary. Oh, they got it. I think they did by 1/100th of a second.
Now the finale. The sand section was actually pretty chaotic. The Hazers took this weird bump off of Stinger, which definitely slowed them down. They entered the track section in last. Orangin showed off their track skills and closed the gap enough to pass Stinger entering the water, but Momo used a great strategy. By using Stinger's draft, Momo was able to gain speed and pass Orangin. But coming in quickly was another. Like I said earlier, Foggy was a master inside the water during this event, and Orangin was the weaker link. Foggy just let their speed do the work as the Hazers went from worst to first to get gold.
And they do! Everybody is right up there! The Hazers shoulder on through and will get the gold!
This might be the greatest event in Marble League history, and maybe one of the toughest events as well. Now, how did all 4 of these marbles do in the rest of the league? I'll give you a quick recap. The Hornets got worst. Team Momo decided to go back to mediocrity. The Hazers earned 4 more top 5 finishes, and the Orangers, well, surely they won the Marble League after holding a 35-point lead with 3 events to go. So that'll do it. I hope you guys like looking back at these events as much as I do. They're really entertaining and are honestly the events that make marble sports amazing. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for all the support. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. See ya!